Hey, it's your friend Choice EJ here, and I'm coming to you guys with my first playoff match for P4G Next Generation. Now, if you watched my last P4G match, you know that I kind of choked and ended up not technically making playoffs, but the way it worked out, there's a competitor who was going to be in playoffs who decided that he wasn't able to play his match just due to time constraints, and he was going to forfeit. And so I asked, well, if he's going to forfeit, can I just take his spot? And so we talked to the admins, and we talked to that player's opponent, who happens to be Jacob, as always, coach of the Green Bay Pikachus. And Jacob's like, yeah, I totally down. I really want to play. I'd rather advance from winning rather than, rather than forfeit. So it's kind of the same attitude that we had in our last week versus Aaron. He was going to forfeit, but I wanted to at least put up an effort and act like I deserved it. So it's funny in a way, like even though we lost, we worked our way into playoffs somehow. So I don't know if that really makes me feel good or not, but I'm happy to be here. So let's quickly go through the team and then we'll hop on into the battle. So Jacob has a very scary team of Landorus T, Blacephalon, Tentacruel, Porygon 2, Mesprit, Alolan Executor, Mega Mawile, Jolteon, Umbreon, Mienshao, and Omastar. So he's got, I think, probably a top 3 Mon in the format. I think Lando I put at number 3, behind Celesteela and Taboo Koko on my list. So he's got that on his team. Sorry for my cough. I was just diagnosed with bronchitis, so hopefully my medicine's going to be kicking in soon and I won't be coughing in all my videos anymore. But luckily the Landorus is not a Z-Fly variant. It only has access to Ground DMZ. So he can only use Tech Rage, which is really good for me because that makes it a little bit easier to defend against. He's got a bunch of other powerful mons as well. Mawile in particular is extremely scary. I don't know exactly how it is I'm going to deal with that. Especially if he decides to do something cheeky like bring Trick Room Porygon. That could really, really screw me up. So I'm hoping that that doesn't happen. Otherwise, I don't have a response. Otherwise, he's got a lot of fat things that are extremely annoying. Like Umbreon and Porygon is such an annoying core. Like obviously they share a fighting type weakness, but they don't care that much about fighting type moves. It's just really annoying. I do not enjoy that at all. Other annoying things like Tentacruel, Mesprit, they're all there. Hopefully he doesn't bring like Toxaspike Tentacruel or anything like that. He doesn't have too many other hazard setters, which is nice for me. Like Lando might be pressured to bring rocks. We'll have to see. And Mesprit, if he wants to bring it, could pack rocks. I guess Mawile gets rocks as well, but Mawile, using stealth rocks on that is such a waste of a move slot. So I'm not anticipating that. But anyway, there's a few mons on my team that I think could potentially put in work. Let's hop on into the analysis, and then we'll go to the team or to the battle. So bring another Life Orb Toad. This time I'm not bringing rocks, just because last week it would have been so nice to have Ice Punch to take on the Tropius there in the late game, and I wasn't able to do that. So figured just having all the attacking moves was better. Ice Punch, Earthquake, Knockoff, Power Up Punch. And we're going with Ice Punch instead of like a water move to hit the Lando, because Ice Punch also doubles and hits Alolan Executor, which could potentially be really annoying. And it doesn't really hit much else. Like Earthquake hits almost everything else on the team. It hits Blacephalon, Tentacruel, it hits Mawile, Jolteon, Omastar, all for super effective damage. And his only resists to it are Mesprit, Executor, and Landorus. So again, Ice Punch for the 2 4x weaknesses to Ice. We have Knockoff for Mesprit, and then Power Punch, just in case it seems like it'd be useful to click this button. Getting off the Power Punch gives us the +1 boost, and that allows us to really plow through the team. So enough speed on this thing to outspeed Scarf Blacephalon in the rain. Pretty much rest into attack, and then we put enough into HP to give ourselves a Life Orb number. Next, we do have a kind of physically defensive Volcanion, not super physically defensive. It's got enough speed on here to outspeed Jolly Mawile, if I'm not mistaken. And no, it's got enough speed for Tentacruel. Actually, what I probably should do, I should, like, Mawile only hits It only hits... Sorry, I'm doing this live. It hits, I think, 112. 252. It hits 112. So we should bring this down to 113. Like, as much as it'd be nice to outspeed a non-speed Tentacruel, like, realistically, he's probably going to run a tiny bit of speed on it just to have it. And it doesn't really threaten us anyway. So, like, an Earthquake is almost a 2-hit KO to a max HP variant. I think it is a 2-hit KO to a max HP variant. Sorry, to a max HP, no defense variant. So, having this little bit of extra defense will allow us to deal with Mawile a little bit better. This is sort of my dedicated switch into Mawile being my fire type. And we should be able to take it out either with Steam Eruption or Flamethrower, depending upon what sort of weather conditions are up. If it's rain, then we'll just go for Steam Eruption. If it's not, then we'll go for Flamethrower. Yeah, and that's kind of the only function for this Pokemon this week. It's also probably a decent lure to Porygon 2 or Umbreon, so that's why we have Toxic. Yeah, Earthquake is just there to hit the Tentacruel, which is also a very decent switch into Volcanion. I don't really have a move to hit Executor with this moveset, but he hasn't brought Executor once, and I've got other ways to handle it, so it's all good. Next, we do have a Spadef Chestnut, Leech Seed, Seed Bomb, Drain Punch, Earthquake. So without access to Fly Z, Chestnut's actually a pretty decent response to Landorus, and with its bulletproof ability, it's actually pretty good versus Blacephalon if the rain is up, because Fire Blast and Flamethrower are weakened, and we are immune to Shadow Ball. And I guess potentially we are a decent switch into Tentacruel. If we get burned with Scald, that would be really crappy. And then also if he is what's it called, the Liquid Ooze, I think that's the ability. Let's see, yeah, Liquid Ooze. So getting a Leech Seed on this would not actually be great. So maybe we'll use something else to deal with Tentacruel. But like this pivots in really nicely versus Lando, Blacephalon, also Jolteon. Jolteon's kind of in a weird spot. It wants HP Ice for things like Chestnut and for Salamence, but he also wants HP Grass for Seismitoad. So if he's not packing HP Ice, which is kind of what I would expect, then Chestnut switches in very freely, because the other best coverage move it has is Shadow Ball, which we are immune to. So we put enough attack investment on this thing so that way we can break a sub on a no investment Landorus if it switches in on us. If we switch in on it, we can very, very easily break the sub with Seed Bomb. I wish I had a better move. I guess I could go with Wood Hammer, but Wood Hammer doesn't, it has all the recoil, which I don't really like. So as long as I can just keep Landorus low enough, and I can get it to where Bullet Punch can potentially revenge kill it, or I can somehow get in my Toad, that's good for me. So yeah, that's the moveset on this. Next we do have Damp Rock Pelipper, pretty standard. Scald U-Turn, Toxic Roost. Toxic to hit off on Umbreon or Porygon, both of which again are pretty free switches to Pelipper. We have enough Fizz Def on this thing to be able to take an Adamant Stone Edge from a Landorus after Rocks, assuming it's not a boosting item. So that's the reason for that. We put just a little bit in speed and like all the leftovers into Spadef. Rain Setter here, Damp Rock is going to give me my maximum number of turns with Seismitoad, and it also protects my Chestnut and my Scizor for as many turns as possible, so that is very nice. Next up, we've got a bulky Scizor, pretty physically defensive. We put a decent bit of attack investment in here. This allows us to 2-hit KO a max defense Umbreon with 2 superpowers after Leftovers Recovery. If he goes for Protect or something in between, then he might be slightly out of range, but it might still be a roll, so we'll have to see. And that's, again, from completely full. If he's got any chip damage on it, then that'll be very nice for us. Knockoff is to get rid of P2's Eviolite, and it's just generally annoying versus his team. And then Bullet Punch is nice for setup Landorus and things like that. This is, I guess, my general switch into... it's a general switch into Mawile, to Lando. Also switches in extremely freely on Umbreon and Porygon. I guess Foul Play could do a decent chunk, so we'll have to be aware of that. That's kind of the only scary thing. But otherwise, yeah, like he doesn't have a... well, I guess he's got Blacephalon. I think it just pivot in pretty safely on a lot of things like Mesprit, Alolan Executor, etc. So that's the thinking with Scizor. And then last but not least, we have kind of our main win condition, the Calm Mind Roost Tapu Koko. And this set is actually Flames versus him. I guess it's not that creative of a set. Like Calm Mind Recovery is a very, very standard moveset, and it's not even that uncommon on Tapu Koko. But it just beats his team so badly. And Shuka Berry kind of allows us to beat the only set that could counter us, which would be HP Ice Lando or Scarf Lando. Like, otherwise, you just look at his team. Like, with a +2 boost, nothing is taking Thunderbolt or HP Ice. Jolteon doesn't really threaten us because we are going to be Calm Minding and boosting that thing. Excuse me. Foul Play from Umbreon doesn't do very much. Porygon 2 doesn't do much. Sucker Punch from Mawile doesn't do very much. And Mienshao, if it's a Scarf variant with Poison Jab, it only does 73% max to us. So as long as we're able to maintain a decent amount of health, we can survive and kill it with Thunderbolt. You know, that's why we went with all this HP investment, is to try and allow us to take a lot of those hits better. And then the special attack investment allows us to one-shot a non-bulk Mawile if we're at a +1 special attack boost. So that's the team. We haven't battled yet. Usually I do this right before I show the battle to you guys. We haven't actually battled yet, so I'll do a cut and come back in a moment with team matchup. Alright, and here we are with the battle. Now, it's been about a week since I recorded that team builder, so hopefully I don't miss any of the important details that I just went over. But as you can see, Jacob has brought Lando T, Blacephalon, Porygon 2, Mega Mawile, Tentacruel, and Jolteon. So, nothing too shocking here. I guess I'm pretty relieved not to see Umbreon, just because I hate that thing. It's very annoying to deal with for sure. So, in terms of lead matchups, I think that Chestnut actually leads pretty well versus a lot of his team, and, you know, versus some of his likely leads, such as Jolteon and Landorus. So it makes sense for me to lead with that. My game plan is going to be make sure I can get chip damage on Porygon, potentially knock off its Violite, and I should be in a good position to take the late game with Seismitoad. Getting a little bit of residual damage onto Lando as well would be extremely nice. You know, I can use my Chestnut to do that. Maybe I use a Bullet Punch from Scizor or something like that. My Tapu Koko can still do extremely well in this game. Excuse me. I think the main thing I can set up on is P2. I guess to some extent I can also set up on Tentacruel. It depends on his investment and if he's packing poison coverage or not. If he is packing poison coverage, it'll make it a little bit harder. But I think a very Spadef set of Tentacruel makes a lot of sense to deal with my Volcanion in this situation. He can also use his Porygon 2 to help deal with Volcanion. So yeah, that's the thought process here. And with all of that, let's go ahead and click start on this battle. And wish my good pal Jacob, as always, good luck, have fun. Regardless of how this match shakes up, he and I actually are in a upcoming league together that I'm excited to share with you guys. So anyway, Jacob sends out his A-Rod, which is his Lando T. Right off the bat, I'm not happy with this Lando T because A-Rod is, you know, he for a long time was one of the top paid players, one of the captains of the Evil Empire. But of course, he's sort of fallen into irrelevance. I guess he does like broadcasting on Fox Sports or things like that these days. I don't really know. I don't really care much about A-Rod. So anyway, gets an Intimidate off of me and then brings in his Mawile to get off a second Intimidate. I figure I can just go for Leech Seed. The fact that he doesn't go for U-Turn, you know, pretty much rules out the possibility of him being a Choice Scarf set. And I don't think Choice Scarf is particularly good against me anyway, because it is going to be outsped by things like Toad in the Rain. And it leaves him vulnerable to being Choice Locked into like EQ versus something like my Pelipper. Like I can easily switch in, gain momentum on a Choice Locked Lando T. So anyway, versus the Mawile, go into my dedicated counter, which is my Volcanion, as the Mawile just goes for Stealth Rock. So very, very interesting. Makes it unlikely this is going to be some sort of setup set, because obviously it's not going to have all the coverage move that it wants. It's going to want its stabs, it's potentially going to want Sucker Punch. Fire Fang for something like Mega Scizor makes a lot of sense. You know, and he probably wants something to hit Volcanion as well, like Thunder Fang. So there's just no way he can run every possible move, which is extremely nice. So he does go into his Tentacruel, and I anticipate that going for Earthquake. If you want to do something crazy like Stay In, then Earthquake was going to do a pretty decent bit of damage to Mawile anyway, but it works out because I get about 50% damage off on this Tentacruel. I was expecting a switch out into the P2, so I make another prediction and go for Toxic, but that ends up not working out for me. His Giga Drain shows that he was anticipating his Seismitoad switch in, and now he is going to go for HP Electric, which does a fairly decent chunk of damage to my Volcanion. And as I go for another Earthquake here, I'm not going to be able to take it out. So, as I go for another Earthquake here, I'm not going to be able to take it out. So, taking out this Tentacruel is obviously nice. The only bad part about it is that my Volcanion wasn't meant to deal with Tentacruel. It was meant to deal with Mawile. So my Mawile switch-ins are pretty limited now, because I am going to be looking to be at about 45-50% at the end of this exchange. I go for Steam Eruption because it'll obviously kill Tentacruel at this range of HP. And if he chooses to make some sort of crazy switch in, we can take that into account. Because he has no other water resist on his team besides Tentacruel. So that's extremely, extremely nice. So anyway, he has that opportunity now just to go into his Jolteon and revenge kill me. I could go into Toad, but that just seems a little bit crazy to risk my win condition so early. Especially when I can't outspeed it without Rain. He goes for a Thunderbolt, takes up my Volcanion, and I see the Flame Orb proc. And this is actually pretty bad for me, because now this can outspeed my Seismitoad in the Rain very, very easily, and now I can't use that thing as a reliable sweeper unless Jolteon is removed first, because presumably the reason he's running Quick Feet Flame Orb is so that he can hit Hidden Power Grass on my Seismitoad and prevent it from winning. There's no other reason that he would want to pack that this week. So it's a little, I don't know if I want to use the word frustrating, but like, he anticipated my prep really well. If I had brought something like Setup Salamence, that would have been way better at dealing with the Jolteon set that he's brought, but obviously I didn't bring it, so he did, like I said, a really nice job of anticipating that prep on my end. So anyway, Mawile comes in, and I have to sort of dance around this thing. I bring in my Mega Scizor, and I'm pretty positive that I cannot kill in even a 0 HP variant of Mawile with Bullet Punch. But I don't want to risk him having Fire Fang and then me not getting any damage off on this thing. So I do go for Bullet Punch, and he does show the Fire Fang, so at least we can get a little bit of chip damage off on Mawile. And that Mon is gone. I bring in my Tapu Koko because it's actually the only thing on my team that can reliably revenge kill this right now. And so I could, anticipating a switch out, go for a Calm Mind here, but it just seems a little reckless. There's really no point for me going for that. If he wants to go into Jolteon, I feel pretty comfortable going for Calm Minds versus that thing. So that's not a big worry to me. And he's already shown not to be Volt Absorb, so it's not like even Jolteon's a reliable switch to Koko anyway. But anyway, the P2 does come in, and I figured this is as good of an opportunity as I'm going to get to try and set up with this thing. But one thing I didn't realize in the battle is that this is actually an analytic Porygon too. I had to get up from my DS for a moment, and so I missed the fact that there was no download and there was no trace. And so then to top it all off, not only does his attack get boosted from going second, but he's actually packing Return instead of Tri Attack. And so that allows him to hit my Tapu Koko for almost 50% damage, even though I'm boosting with Calm Minds. If he was just Tri Attack, we would have been able to go for another Calm Mind, roost it off, and be in a very good position versus his team, which is a really big bummer. So I have to go into basically the only switch I have to an analytic return, which is Chestnut, just thanks to its natural physical defense. And so I do go for a Leech Seed, just because I know that it can be annoying to pretty much anything that switches in here. But I am wishing in retrospect that I had gone for EQ, because this Blacephalon comes in, and I don't have a response to this thing, at all. It can go for most likely a Fire move versus my Chestnut, which is why I decided to go into Pelipper. I can resist the Fire move, of course, and the Rain will further weaken the Fire-type move from this Blacephalon, but instead it goes for Will-O-Wisp, so it's very interesting. It's some sort of lure set for just getting residual damage on my team, hurting my my physical attackers. If I had switched in Toad right there, for example, that would have been a huge, huge problem. Again, I'm never switching in Toad there, but it's just a way for him to completely neutralize a threat of mine. So he is going to switch on out and go into his P2, as I make a double and I go back into Chestnut. The reason that Chestnut is a fair play at that point is that he's probably not going to double Wisp. He can't hit me with Shadow Ball because I am bulletproof, and the Fire move is going to be weakened versus the Chestnut as well. And the fact that I'm fully specially defensive, or pretty much fully specially defensive, is pretty nice for me. So Lando T is going to come in here now, and I have an opportunity to just weaken this thing with Leech Seed. And so I don't really have a Lando response on my team. The Chestnut that I have sitting here is the closest thing that I have. But it's kind of a treacherous situation here because, as I explained, Jolteon can pretty much take out my best win condition, being Seismitoad. And with the range of HP that everything's at on my team, it can kind of sweep if this Chestnut gets weakened. So all that he needs to do here is use this Lando to weaken my Chestnut, and then I'm going to be looking like I'm in trouble. And he does go for the Rock Polish here. If I switch out to anything on my team, I pretty much lose. There is a chance that my Tapu Koko could take a non-Ground DMZ Earth move or Ground move, and he does reveal to be special, so the move he's going to be packing is Earth Power, presumably. Like, I could take a non-Ground DM version of that if I was at full, thanks to my Shuka Berry, but because I took 50% from that return, it puts me into a really, really bad spot. Where I have to basically leave my Chestnut in here. He got a ridiculous amount of damage off of me with that Hidden Power Flying. And like I said, he can one-shot Tapu Koko with Electric Move. He can one-shot Seismitoad with Hidden Power Grass, one-shot Pelipper with Electric Move. And then the other one that I have left is Chestnut, which is at like less than 20%. So you should be able to kill me with pretty much anything. So, you know, we're still a few turns away from the end here, but I can already see how this end game is going to play out. And I play cute around this Landorus, I dance around, and, you know, he goes for Hidden Power Flying, I give him a little bit of HP on my Seismitoad. Anticipating the ground move, I do go into my Pelipper, and I am able to dodge this Tectonic Rage, which is really nice. But at the end of the day, once this Lando goes down, and it does here, Jolteon is going to be able to come in and literally sweep my team. So I'll just tell you guys straight up right now, we do end up with a 3-0 loss to my good buddy Jacob, as always. So definitely a bummer. If I had been able to preserve the health on my Chestnut a little bit better, I could have been in a better position. But there was really nothing I could do there unless I wanted to lose to Landorus, because it was already set up. We knew I had the Tech Rage. My Seismitoad didn't outspeed it since it went for Rock Polish. Pelipper, I guess, I don't know if he had a Rock move or not, or if he had, like, Double Dance and what exactly he was thinking there. Maybe Pelipper could live one hit, and then go for... I guess Double Dance with a special set means you have, like, Calm Mind with Rock Polish. Obviously, you wouldn't have Swords Dance in that situation. Maybe Pelipper can live a Hidden Power Flying, if he's not boosted. I doubt he could live with a boost. But the problem is, like, Pelipper had already taken two, at least one Rock Switch in at that point, and it had to take another in order to come in on Landorus. So it was just not, once I saw the Quick Feet Jolteon, things were looking really bad for me. Maybe if the Koko could have gotten going like I had wanted, getting set up moves going against that Porygon 2, again, I would have been in a much better position. But it just wasn't, he just out-prepped me. The Porygon 2 with Return was magnificent. The Special Lando was really nice. It dealt with my Chestnut very well. And the Quick Feet Jolteon, like most of all, just completely neutralized my whole strategy. And so it kind of comes down, again, just a prep. Of the last few weeks in P4G, I feel like I've been getting really lazy with prep. But it is what it is. I can do nothing but tip my hat to my good pal Jacob for bringing a really solid team. I wish him the best of luck in the future playoff matches for P4G. And like I said, I am looking forward to battling him once again in the future, because we are going to overlap in another league that will be extremely fun, and I'm going to be happy to announce that to you guys when the time comes. So anyway, that's going to be the end of our P4G Next Generation run. And, it's as much of a bummer as it is. I had a really great time. I sort of talked for several minutes at the end of my previous game, which I thought was going to be my final game in P4G Next Generation. So I'll keep this one short and sweet and ask you guys to check out the end of that video if you want to hear any of my closing thoughts on this season. Basically, I love my team. It's one of my favorite teams that I ever used. If I ever get an opportunity to draft Tapu Koko again, I think I'll go this similar route using Pelipper, Mega Scizor. I'll just change up some of the other role players a little bit in order to make the team more well-rounded, because I felt like I was relying on the same 3 or 4 Mons every week. But all that said, I do hope that you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure you drop a like on this video, and consider giving your boy Choice CJ a sub, because I do have some awesome Pokemon content planned for you guys in the coming months. There's another announcement that went up on my channel, like, I think probably 4 hours ago. It was the hype video for MPL Season 6, and I am going to be a part of that. We're going to be putting up a draft analysis next week, and I hope you guys check that out, and check out that season once it kicks off. So, thank you all for watching. Make sure you check out the channel for other gaming and Pokemon content. Until the next time, I'll see you guys later.